Hi, everyone. My name is Robin McMahon, and I'm the founder of Parenting for Connection. On today's webinar, I'm going to be talking to you about how you can overcome your anger with affection. And after today's webinar, you will see how anger is going to be your new best friend. Yes, your new best friend, for real. And I'll show you how you can use it to find peace and connection within yourself and with your kids and in your family. Here is my promise to you. I'll show you exactly how to stop yelling, feeling frustrated and overwhelmed so that you can truly start enjoying the time that you spend with your kids. I'm going to show you how to avoid feeling guilty after a meltdown or feeling like you're in a constant power struggle with your kids every single day. And if you stay until the end of the webinar, I've got something really special for you. I'll be giving you an anger diagram worksheet, which you can use to help you understand your anger better. Using this tool is a great way to analyze your anger and the anger in every one of your family members. Sound good? Great. So before we get started, I would really like to ask for your attention, please. I want you to create an optimal space to receive the information I'm going to share with you today. I ask that you give me your full attention for this presentation, so please turn off your cell phones and turn off Facebook and any other distractions or sounds that might take your attention away. I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with you on today's webinar, so make sure you stay with me, and please have your Overcoming Anger with Affection worksheets and a pen handy. And if you're an angry mom and you're serious about getting better results and want to know the truth about anger and what you can do about it, then the next 60 minutes will really change your life. First, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Robin McMahon, and I have a PhD from the School of Strong-Willed Boys. My boys are now 12 and 9 years old, and they have put me through the ringer, but have truly been my greatest teachers. It's because of the struggles that I've had with them that I found the world of peaceful parenting and have become a much more peaceful parent myself. And when I'm not working with my clients, I'm usually at one of the boys' sports, cheering them on, or out with them, or at home spending time with them. But I also make sure to spend time with my friends and my husband, and I also make sure to spend time on my own doing the things that I love, like reading or going for a walk or getting a massage, or my side hobby of interior decorating, or as my husband likes to call it, shopping. I received my training and certification as a peaceful parent coach from the Jai Institute for Parenting, and I've worked with a wide range of parents from Canada and the United States. And for over 12 years, I juggled a full-time corporate career while being a mom and a wife prior to becoming a parent coach. So I understand the stresses and overwhelm that comes from this juggling act. And during my career, I've had varied professional experiences in the areas of marketing, public relations, training, event planning, and have worked with nonprofit organizations that help sick and disabled children. I met my wonderful husband when I was 15 when he trained me how to make Big Macs at McDonald's. True story. We reunited 10 years later and have been married for 14 years and counting. But most importantly, I have come from being an angry and depressed mom who was so full of shame and self-hatred to a calm and confident and connected mom to my two boys. And it's even better when they tell me how much more of a fun and happy mom I am. My oldest son said to me the other day that we're like a designer family, the kind of family everyone wants. Oh, there's no better feeling than to hear that. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today to show you how you can have a similar experience in your own life with your own family. So I'd just like you to take a minute and imagine what it would feel like if you had all the tools you need to stop yelling at your kids, feeling frustrated and overwhelmed all the time so that you can start enjoying the time you spend with your kids and enjoy parenting and actually have all the cooperation you could ever want. What would it feel like if you never had to worry about feeling bad or guilty after losing your cool with your kids, or have the feeling like you're in a constant power struggle with your kids ever again? And what will life be like when you know how to end anger and frustration that's making you feel like you're failing as a parent? And how would it feel to really understand the why behind the reason you're getting so upset in the first place? And you know what? It's probably not even what you think. Tell me, will that make a difference for you and your family? I really know that it will. But if you're thinking that it's too good to be true, well, I completely understand. But it is entirely possible to create these kinds of changes in yourself, your children, and your family. And I am living proof. And so are my clients. So let me share a couple of testimonials from two of my former clients. Jane from Vancouver writes, when I first met Robin, I felt frazzled, frustrated, and like an inadequate mom to a 6-year-old little girl. I wanted my daughter to overcome her picky eating habits, and I soon learned that it was not just about my daughter being a picky eater, but overall how we communicated and interacted with each other. I learned everyday tools that help me cope with small day-to-day things, but also bigger long-term solutions. Our new boundaries are having such a positive impact on my entire family as a whole. I learned how valuable me time is and how not to feel guilty about it. I am now a happy and confident mom, feeling joyful and connected with my daughter. Parenting for Connection has been life-changing for me as a mother and also as a person. And Dr. Deno from Boston writes, Robin's beautiful heart and passion shine through in her coaching and everything she does. In a short period of time, Robin was able to help me shift something fundamental related to my career that has held me back and made me miserable for years. I was able to see how I was directly sabotaging myself and creating artificial limitations. Robin helped me find a new belief that fully embraces who I am and who I want to be in this world as a mom and a doctor. I felt immediately comfortable with Robin and am deeply grateful. I can tell you that nothing makes me feel greater joy than to help my clients shift their parenting and themselves. Because when they make shifts in the area that they're struggling with the most, it has a ripple effect throughout every area of their lives. And I absolutely love seeing my clients succeed. Their success, quite simply, is my success. All right, so today we're going to uncover 3 secrets to parenting that will absolutely change your life. So secret number 1, why you're getting so upset in the first place. And you're going to be surprised that it's actually probably not what you think. Secret number 2, the truth behind your child's tantrums and how they're the key to connection. I know that may sound far-fetched, but it really truly is. And then I'm going to share with you the 3rd secret, which is a simple 5-step process that you can implement immediately to reduce anger and create positive connection and behavior. Using this tool has been transformational for my life, with my parenting, and for my clients. So I can't wait to share it with you. All right, so let's dive into secret number 1, why you're getting so upset in the first place. You know, most angry moms, including most of my clients that I work with, have no idea where this anger even came from and what to do about it. But I'm here to tell you that actually every single moment of conflict is an opportunity to create connection with yourself and between you and your child. So what do I mean? Well, anger is natural, and it's an automatic response triggered whenever we feel threatened. Anger is the most powerful of all emotional experiences, and the only emotion that actually activates every single muscle group and organ of the body. Anger exists to mobilize the instinctual fight, flight, or freeze response meant to protect us from predators. But our children aren't predators? No. So applying this survival level fight, flight, or freeze response to everyday problems of family life is like using a rock to turn off a lamp or a tank to repair a computer. Is anyone really dumb enough to turn off a lamp with a rock? Of course not. But when angry, everybody is that dumb. And of course, anger has nothing to do with your intelligence, but it has everything to do with how vulnerable we feel about ourselves. And when genuine self-value is low, anything can make you feel irritable or angry. And on the other side, when self-value is high and you're getting your feelings and needs are being met and the insults and frustrations of life just roll off your back. Think about it. It's so true. So, for instance, if you've had a bad day and you're feeling a little guilty, maybe overwhelmed, or you're just feeling disregarded or devalued. You might come home and find your kid's shoes in the middle of the floor and feel your anger rising in you and think, oh, that lazy, selfish, inconsiderate brat. Or you come home after a great day and you're feeling fine about yourself and you see the same shoes in the middle of the floor and just shrug it off and just say, oh, you know what? That's just Sammy. No big deal. And not think twice about it. The difference in your reaction to the child's behavior lies entirely within you and depends completely on how you feel about yourself. So in the first example, the child's behavior seems to diminish your sense of self. And in anger, you punish your child for doing it to you. Think about that. Isn't that a powerful link to make? Have you ever thought about it that way? And in moments like this, do you notice that you start saying things to yourself like, why can't he listen to me? Why do I always have to repeat myself? And is she ever going to learn to do the simple things that I ask her to do? In the second example, when you come in the door after having a great day, the child's behavior does not diminish your sense of personal importance or value, power, or lovability, so there's no need for anger. You don't need a hammer to solve the problem of shoes in the middle of the floor. Instead, the problem to be solved is how to teach the child to be more cooperative and considerate. And you don't do that by humiliating or scarring your child with anger. Because if you do, your child's reaction to the humiliation and fear will be the same as yours, an overwhelming urge to blame and an impulse for retaliation. You know, anger comes with two main motivations, avoid or attack. Can you think of any family problem that avoidance or attack will help? Probably not, right? You know, there are so many moms who just after having a child can't believe how angry they are, how angry they get when their child doesn't do what they ask. And for most moms I talk to, they don't even recognize themselves anymore. They didn't act this way before they had kids, and they're so ashamed because of it. Why then, now that they become a parent, do they have so much anger? And what is this mysterious force that has the ability to erupt at any moment? Well, anger is the last straw. It's a buildup of feelings like frustration and overwhelm. Well, all these feelings build up over a period of time and explode like a volcano that has been warming up with a mixture of these feelings and finally erupts as an explosion of anger. And when anger happens, it's natural and normal. And like I said, it's one of our strongest emotions. But it's also our greatest teacher when and only when we recognize anger as an opportunity for connection and a great awakening to yourself and your values and the other person who's brought out your anger. In other words, it can be one of your best friends. In peaceful parenting, we see anger as an expression of unmet needs. You can use your anger as an internal compass to identify which needs aren't getting met. I'm going to talk more about getting those needs met in a minute, so don't worry, because I know that's going to sound interesting. Now, when you use your anger as an internal compass, it can be a huge gift in transformation and the fuel for change. And you can use these lessons of anger to break your anger patterns by looking at it without judgment and without shame. Pretty great, right? Now, when you look at it, notice how you react when you're angry. So how do you show your anger? When does your anger show up? Again, look at it with honesty and non-judgment. And remember, what we don't acknowledge will continue to go on without change. You know, in my own life, when I'm angry and I've lost my cool, I've learned to take a minute and ask myself what I'm needing in that moment that I'm not getting. So I thought I'd share a little example from my own life with you. At the beginning of this past summer, we went away to one of my favorite places, just a little resort town. And we went for a short little vacation. And one of my boys was doing a lot of complaining. We drove up there and he thought the drive was too long. He was getting a leg cramp. He was hungry. He was thirsty. He had to go to the bathroom. He was bored. His iPod died. He didn't like the music. He felt sick. And then when we got to the hotel, he wanted to go in the pool right away, but no, first he wanted to eat again. And was on and on and on and on. And it felt like it was nonstop, and it was all directed at me. I did everything I could throughout this entire time during this long drive to get his needs met and to stay calm. But I lost it, and I yelled at him. Actually, I yelled at both my boys, and I told them just to both be quiet and just go away from me and give me a minute to think. And as I was sitting there after I yelled, and at first I was vibrating with anger, but as I calmed down, I asked myself what I was needing in that moment. And for me, I definitely needed cooperation, but I also needed to take some time alone. It was a long drive, and I had done all of the prepping and organizing and packing and unpacking and getting everyone ready. I needed a break. So I asked my husband to take the kids down to the pool, and I was able to take some time in the room by myself where I had some quiet time. I watched a little TV until they came back. And when they got back, I was calm and I felt refreshed. And it was at that time that I was able to talk to both of my boys about my anger and talk to them about what I was feeling and needing. And then I talked to them about how they were feeling and if there was anything they were needing. And that ended up being a beautiful moment of connection for us. So when you feel your anger rise up in you, I invite you to pause and recognize your needs, because that's how you invite peace in. And it's okay if you aren't perfect. Like me, I lost my cool. But instead of yelling and screaming for the next 30 minutes and then feeling bad and then beating myself up and going back to the old thoughts I used to have that I'm a horrible mom and I can't do this and my kids are the worst, I stopped. Right as soon as I realized that I was angry and my anger was a signal to stop and pause and pay attention to what I was feeling and needing. And I did that. And I went and I got my needs met. And I created a moment of connection with my boys. So that's what I mean when I say that anger is a gift and can be your new best friend. And can you see how anger created connection as well? When we talk about when anger shows up, there are three main areas that can be identified that you can meet or not meet at any given moment. Remember, anger is the wake-up call for you to recognize what needs aren't getting met in any of these three main areas. So you've got personal needs, needs for exercise, diet, sleep, self-care, sleep, need for spiritual growth or intellectual growth. Maybe you need a massage. Maybe you need some time alone. Maybe you need a nap. Maybe you need some rest. You get the picture, right? And then there's social needs. So a need for friendship and community, a date night or a girls' night, just time with adults, time with your tribe and people who you love. That's what we also need. And then there is also the last one, which is family value agreement needs. The need for cooperation in your family or respect. The need for family values maybe. Either way, there's something missing that's preventing you from getting the cooperation or the respect or whatever else it is that you need. And if that's the case, then you need to take some time to determine what your values are and set up your family values. So let me ask you, as I read through those, can you identify your needs that aren't getting met in any of those categories? Write them down. It's essential for your well-being and your family's well-being. So take a minute now and write them down. And listen, this is serious. It is number one for managing anger in the home. When you aren't happy and you aren't getting your needs met, nobody's happy. So recognize what your needs are and go and get your needs met. Now, I want to draw your attention to the pictures on the slide here. The top one says, nourishing yourself is not selfish. It's essential to your survival and your well-being. Yes, yes. And the next one is, you can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. I think we've probably all heard that one, but it's just so very true. So I really want you, if nothing else, to take this away from this webinar is you need to take care of yourself. All right, now, can you see how anger is powerful and can empower action and change? Can you see that it isn't a negative thing at all? And that when anger shows up, it's a huge wake-up call that something needs to change? Doesn't that sound like a lot of benefits from anger? I bet you didn't think of those before now, and I hope you see your anger in a different way, as a gift and as your new best friend. So not only is anger a huge wake-up call, it's an invitation to more connection. And I'm not going to jump ahead of myself here, but I promise I'm going to show you how we can use anger and meltdowns to connect even more with our kids. So let's now move on to secret number 2, the truth behind your child's tantrums and how they are the key to a stronger, more connected relationship. Because when we strive to understand what our anger is and what we can do when we feel angry, this really helps us to understand our children's anger as well. So most angry and frustrated and overwhelmed moms think that maybe they just have a tough kid, or that my child is really emotional or is a really hard to parent kid. And maybe they think that there's maybe something even wrong with them. Maybe you've suspected that your child has ADD or ADHD. I mention it because I hear it a lot, and I can relate because I do have a son that has ADHD, so I understand, and using these parenting tools have really helped me. So I want to tell you that in terms of meltdowns and why your kids get so angry, there's actually a more innocent reason for the tantrums and meltdowns, and they too are a gift. I know, I said it again, but they are. So what do I mean? The first thing that we have to do is talk about the brain. And learning about the brain is the foundation of peaceful and nonviolent parenting. And it's because of what we know now about our children's brains that will serve you in understanding your child so much better. So there's a lot of information on brain science. And so for the purposes of this class, and also so that I don't bore you to tears, I'm going to talk about it at a really high level. So to simplify the complex brain, I'm going to look at the brain as having 3 main areas. So we've got the lower area of the brain, which includes the brainstem and the cerebellum, and is the area of the brain that is most developed when the baby's born. We call this area of the brain the alarm center because it ensures survival, it ensures hunger and breathing and circulation, and response to danger with fight, flight, or freeze instinct. And then there's the next area of the brain, the middle area of the brain, or the emotional brain. This includes the limbic system involved in active growth. And this is the emotional center and is the place for feelings and more feelings. It also houses memory and a sense of self. But here's something you really need to know, that children from birth to 7 years old are living in their emotional center. Oh my goodness, isn't that so helpful to understand? Because knowing that our children are just coming from their emotional center in the way that they act and behave, and this is for the first 7 years of their lives, allows us to understand they're just acting their age. Oh, I think that is such great information to have. And then there's the third area of the brain, the higher area of the brain, also known as the neocortex or frontal lobes. And this is the area that manages all the good stuff like rational thought and problem solving, creativity, imagination, kindness, empathy, and concern. And this is the area of the brain that doesn't take off developmentally until around the age of 7 and doesn't fully develop until the age of 24. Super important for you to make note of that. So when we talk about tantrums, which area of the brain do you think they come from? If you said lower or middle, you are correct. Since the lower is fight, flight, or freeze, and the middle is the emotional center of the brain, this is where your child is. The higher center of the brain shuts down. Remember, that's where reasoning and rational thought lives. So no wonder we get irrational displays of emotions from our children, and admittedly us too as parents. Now, as parents, if we're able to keep our calm, then we're able to parent from our higher brain with rational thought and problem solving and empathy. But man, when we're triggered and angry, where do you think we're parenting from? Yep, if you said lower middle brain, you are correct again. Since your child is in their emotional center, their middle brain, when they're having a meltdown, there is no way to reason with them because they can't even access the reasonable part of their brain. So many parents, and the same goes for you, if you're triggered, you can't access your higher brain either. So once you take some time to move from your middle to higher brain, then you're able to talk to your child to find out what he or she needs. And how exactly do you do that? Well, you do what I did, like when we were away on our holiday. You take a parenting pause where you take a minute to stop and breathe. You maybe leave the room or go for a walk or do what I did and ask my husband to take the kids to the pool and give me some time to be alone. Whatever it is, anything that you need so that you can transition out of your emotional middle brain. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to go into detail how you can get yourself into your higher brain. So that's coming up. So let's talk about developmental stages and the effect that these stages have on the way your child communicates. And then exactly how do you even understand what they're feeling and needing anyway? Well, it's so important that you know where your child is at in their development. I got to tell you, I talk to so many parents that have unrealistic expectation of their children, and their children are not developmentally able to fulfill the requests they have of them. And this causes so much stress for parents and for the child. So I ask you to please make sure you have an idea of where your child is at developmentally, which can really assist you in peacefully parenting your child. So I'm going to go through some facts about development and growth, brain growth and development. So a child is born with 25% of his brain developed. The brain growth in babies and children is incredible. 90% of the growth of the brain happens in the first 5 years of life. And a baby is born with hundreds of billions of brain cells, but with very few existing connections between these cells. And in the early years of life, these connections are formed by the child's genes and by the child's experiences, particularly from how the child is parented. The brain is an extremely adaptable organ. For example, if a parent gives their child empathy for their feelings and needs, over time, the brain will develop pathways that connect to the higher area of the brain, which, if you remember, houses the capacity for empathy. But a child not exposed to any empathy will likely have these cells pruned away from lack of use. And this will greatly have an effect on the child's ability to give empathy to himself and others. Brain function, therefore, is use dependent. And each area of the brain builds upon itself in terms of development upon the development that precedes it. There is a significant spurt in the development of the higher brain around the age of 7, and there are additional bursts of brain growth between the ages of 11 and 12, and then again at 15. Sometimes these periods of growth are preceded by a period of perceived regression. So if you're seeing signs that you think your child may be going backwards, make a note that this might be a sign that they're about to have a developmental growth spurt. Now, one thing to note is that every child is born with their own internal clock, and all aspects of development unfold in a highly individualized way. Although these periods of rapid growth in the brain is a living organ and can grow and change and become impaired and heal at any time. And I mention this because parents may experience guilt about mistakes they feel they've made when parenting, but I want to emphasize that the brain can grow and change and heal at any time. So if you feel that you've made mistakes, or you were harsh with your child, or you've yelled at your child over the years, your child and your brain can heal at any age and build new neural pathways. Now, when we look at the dominant parenting paradigm, this is filled with a lot of evaluation and judgment and stereotypes and assumptions on each stage of child development, like the terrible twos, for example, or the horrible teenage years. But when we parent peacefully, we look for the child's development as a clue into why they're acting the way they are. And then we ask, what can we do to support them based on their developmental stage? Isn't that a huge difference? Instead of blaming them for the way they act, we use it as a clue to parent them based on their developmental stage. I think it's huge. And when it comes to your child's expression of anger and angry outbursts, I will say that it isn't until your child's around 11 that they have better control over their anger, and angry outbursts become less frequent. But again, that's still highly individualized. Now, Throughout each stage of development, children are seeking to satisfy their core human needs, and their strategies for getting their needs met depend on their developmental level. And yes, some of the ways they go about trying to get their needs met may drive us crazy as parents. So that leads us to understand what our kids are actually feeling and needing. You know, the biggest aha for me when I started to do this work was discovering that every meltdown, tantrum, and angry outburst was my child trying to get his needs met. Whoa, that made so much sense to me and was probably the biggest piece of information that helped me become a more peaceful parent. Here's something that I want to say that I really want you to hear. And I bolded it on the screen here, and it's: children are often operating from their best intention to get their need met, even if it's not liked by the parent. Every feeling comes from your child trying to get a basic need met, and they aren't intentionally trying to be bad, naughty, wrong, manipulative, or controlling. They're not. And I know it's hard to sit through tantrums and crying. I get it, but I'm here to tell you it has nothing to do with us. They're in their own space, in their own unique emotions, just trying to get their own need met. It has nothing to do with us. They are not trying to control us. I promise. I promise. So let's have a look at their needs. And there's actually 8 core basic needs, basic human needs of a child. And they are unconditional love. And this starts with the unconditional love that we give as parents. And then there's connection. This is connection with parents, with family, with friends. And then attention. You know, we often blame kids for needing attention, but they do. They really need attention. So let's stop blaming and shaming them for needing it. Empathy. Oh, empathy is so huge and is one of the foundations of peaceful parenting and true connection with your child. And then there's affection. Your kids really need physical touch, hugs, kisses, and cuddles. And in fact, I recently read an article on how kids who get cuddled more when growing up are healthier, less depressed, kinder, more empathetic, and more productive adults. It points to how children who grow up with more affection have better coping skills. And personally, I can't get enough cuddles from my kids, so I made sure to show them that article and, make sure that they knew that I was doing this for their own good. All right, now there's appreciation. And this is such a basic human need for us all, isn't it? To truly and deeply feel appreciated. And then growth. Our kids need space to grow and experience new and different things, and we need to allow them to explore and not hold them back. And this leads to independence. We need to be able to give them space to be away from us. This helps them to build their confidence for when they go out into the world. And of course, with these last two, with growth and independence, we do this always with safety in mind. All right, so can you see how when your child's needs aren't getting met, that they're going to be feeling anxious and angry or maybe fear? But when they are getting their needs met, they're going to feel more calm and happy and secure and comfortable. Doesn't that make a lot of sense? And when they are this way, when they are more happy and secure, not only are they easier to parent because they're naturally more cooperative, but you're able to build on a strong connection with them, which brings you and your child so much more joy. All right, now let's talk about our third secret. And I'm going to share this 5-step process with you that you can implement immediately in your family right now. Well, not right this second, right as soon as you're done the webinar, right? So these 5 simple steps will help to reduce your anger and your child's anger and create positive connection and behavior. So let me just say that now that you have a better understanding of your own anger, your child's anger, and you know that actually your kids aren't intentionally trying to disrespect you or upset you, they are simply using the only tools they have to get a basic human need met. But still, most angry moms think, well, their anger is just my response to my kids' bad behavior. It's, if they would just listen or do what I ask them to do, then it wouldn't be an issue and we wouldn't have so much conflict in our home. Maybe, but there is a better way, a way to keep calm during a meltdown and build long-lasting connection with your child. So, what do I mean? Now, before I show you all of these, I want to mention that this is the process that you're going to use to get into your higher brain, like I talked about before, right? When we're angry and we're triggered. All right, so number one is to pay attention. What's happening in the moment of the meltdown? What just happened before? Where is your child at developmentally? And are they in a transition of some kind? Or maybe there's extra stress because of a move or a divorce or another change. Maybe they're hungry. Maybe they're tired. But you want to observe your child without judgment. I know maybe it sounds easy, but we're constantly judging many times throughout the day, and it's mostly unconscious. So what I'm asking you to do is something very conscious, and that is to observe your child without judgment and with openness and curiosity. This opens up a space where your child will want to come to you and will want to be with you instead of pushing them away. Number two is everyone's feelings and needs. Be aware of what your child might be feeling and needing in every situation. Remember, all behavior is an attempt to get a core need met. So get down to eye level and simply ask what's going on. Be curious, not judgmental. Number three is to allow yourself empathy. This one's all about us. Be honest with yourself about your feelings in the moment. Don't edit, judge, or suppress your thoughts. You may not want to share these thoughts necessarily with your child, but allow them to come and don't suppress them or judge them. And if you're about to rage, be aware, again, of your thoughts. Allow them to come, but try to come from a place of deep acceptance for yourself. Parenting is hard, and it's one of the most challenging things that you will ever do. And we think it has to look perfect, and that is simply not true. So act like your own best friend and treat yourself with kindness. Remember, your child is trying with the best intention to get that need met, and they're trying to do it in the best way they know how, regardless of whether or not it makes you crazy. So remember, they aren't doing it on purpose just to trigger you. Then number four is to care with empathy. See the situation from your child's eyes. What is your child really feeling and needing? And what is underneath the behavior? Get curious. What must it be like for your child in this moment? And when your child is raging and upset, remember, they're in their lower brain, so it's not a good time to talk to your child. And when they are in their higher brain, ask, I wonder if you're feeling this. Is that right? Or ask them, what are you needing right now? Or maybe you share a story about how you can relate, and your child might want to start sharing with you. But I ask you to hold space here for the upset and allow a neutral space to let this feeling exist. You want to hold this space without judgment, and you want to hold this space without attaching to your child's feelings. Don't make them about you. Just allow their feeling to exist in a neutral space without judgment, and that will help them to calm down. And then number five, finally, is to explore a solution. Explore solutions together. This is where both parent and child can have a voice, and 9 times out of 10, empathy is the answer. I encourage you to avoid jumping to fix the problem and parenting over the child. Parent with the child. And this is where you're really strengthening the relationship with your child. Children are almost always excited to be asked to come up with a solution, and this will naturally engage their cooperation. So here are the 5 steps. Now, I know that this is a whole new way of communicating with your child, and you might find it a bit uncomfortable at first, and you might stumble through the process, you might forget it, you might not know where to start. So here's an easy way to remember it. See what I did there? This is called the peace process. And there's truly magic in this process. And when you start using it in your family, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take it slow, and you're going to start one step at a time. You can just start with the P for pay attention, or A for allow yourself empathy, or even just start with empathy. But you slowly integrate this into your life. And once you start using it regularly, you will see that when you're facing one of your child's meltdowns, that within seconds, you'll be able to show up with calmness and curiosity and empathy that is paving the way to long-term connection with your children. Doesn't that sound amazing? All right, so let's have a look at what we've covered. But hold on, first, let's just take a minute here. Everybody, it's time to wake up. It's time to have a stretch, wiggle around in your chair a little bit. Just let's wake back up so that we can go over what we've covered. And then I want to talk quickly to you about one more thing. Okay, so let's talk about secret number one, that every single moment of conflict is actually an opportunity to create connection between you and your child. I talked about your anger and how it's a huge wake-up call to you that something needs to change in your life, that you have unmet needs, and how you can use that anger as an internal compass to find out what you're needing. I also talked about how anger has everything to do with how vulnerable we feel about ourselves. Then secret number two, there is much more innocent reason for the tantrums and meltdowns, and they're actually a gift. I talked about brain science and the 3 levels of the brain, low, middle, and higher brain, and how none of us can be rational when we're angry, and how our kids can't even hear us during a meltdown. I talked about that children are often operating from their best intention to get their needs met, even if it's not liked by the parent. And when they're in the middle of a meltdown, we need to recognize which one of their 8 core needs aren't getting met. And when your children's needs are getting met, they are more calm and happy and secure, and are not only are they easier to parent because they're naturally more cooperative, but you're able to build these strong connections with them that brings both you and your child so much more joy. And finally, secret number 3, I've given you the peace process for you to use during any meltdown. This will help you keep your cool, but for you to really also understand what your child is feeling and needing so that you can come from a peaceful solution together. All right, before we go any further, I need to ask you a question. So I need your attention. I really want you to hear what I want to ask you now. So how many of you right about now are feeling like this? Especially if this is new to you, absorbing this much information might be feeling overwhelming. And we've gone over a lot of stuff. And for many of you, trying to process this might literally feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. And if you're feeling like this, don't worry, I've got your back. And I want to talk about something for those of you that really connected with this information and feel like this might be a path that you would like to pursue in your own family, but feel like you could use a little extra help getting there. So if it's okay with you, I would really like to make a special offer to everyone on this webinar right now, right here today. So I hope that's okay with everyone here. So how many of you would like to take things to the next level? Well, for those of you who do, I would like to introduce you to the Kick-Ass Mom course. This is a course where we've got 3 classes, a 3-class workshop, and it's showing you how to be a happier parent, get more cooperation with your kids, and kick the overwhelm to the curb once and for all. So are you ready to be an amazing parent? Are you ready to be a kick-ass parent? Well, you wouldn't be here listening and learning if you weren't. But some of you might need a little extra help. So I'm talking to you. And if what I shared with you today seems to make sense, but the idea of actually doing it and sticking with it seems to be daunting or impossible, I'm here for you. You know, my personal mission is to affect as many lives of parents and kids all over the world by sharing the messages of peaceful parenting, and that you don't have to resort to anger and yelling and punishments to get your kids to listen and cooperate. In fact, it's just the opposite. The more connection we have, the more cooperation we have. And this is why I've dedicated my life to teaching peaceful parenting. And I got to tell you, this Kick-Ass Moms course really kicks ass. So let me show you what you're going to get. So you're going to get 3 one-hour weekly coaching classes, which will start next week. The total value for these classes is $900, and I'll be sharing new strategies for you to connect and understand your kids over these 3 classes. I'll cover a variety of topics that I've handpicked for you to ensure you receive parenting transformation at the highest possible level. Oh, and also for you to kick some serious ass in your parenting. Now, you're also going to get 3 weeks of client-only office hours. And this is where you'll have direct access to me to ask any questions you have on whatever we've covered. And this is where all of us kick-ass moms come together and share what's going on. So I've booked about an hour for this each week, but I will stick around to make sure that I get to everyone's questions. The total value of these weekly client-only office hours is $600 in and of itself. And next, you're also going to get unlimited email access to me for any other coaching or support or questions or advice that you need during our 3 weeks together. I've included this to ensure that if you need additional support in between our weekly coaching classes and in between our calls, just in case there's unexpected challenges or meltdowns that pop up, that I've got your back and I am here for you with the extra support that you need to guide you through what you're facing. I am here for you. And the value for that access to me is $300 over the 3-week workshop. So the total value of this package, if I were to put this together with my regular coaching practice, is $1,800. Now, let me ask you, if you only got that, would it be worth it? If all you got was 3 weeks of transformational tools, of focused and dedicated support, training strategies and guidance from me that created a permanent shift in your parenting and in your whole family and restored calm, confidence, connection, and respect in the relationships with your kids and your spouse, I'm talking about dramatically shifting the relationships with everyone inside your home. Would it be worth it? And if I were actually, in fact, going to charge you $1,800, which I'm not, and tell you that you were going to get that result and never again feel like you're in a constant struggle with your kids or feel the guilt of after having an angry confrontation with your kids, would it be worth it to you? I think it probably would. And if you spread that over the next several years before your kids leave the nest, I think it would be an overwhelming yes. But that's not all I'm going to give you. Do you really want to be a kick-ass mom? Do you really want to be a kick-ass mom? Look, I know you do. So I'm also going to give you one private 1-hour session with me where we will talk about what's going on that is unique to your family. And I'll work with you to break down the biggest challenges that you and your family are facing and what to do about them so you can see a clear path to peace, respect, connection, all in your home. Oh, and also so you can bring back joy and fun to your family. Does that sound amazing? All right. So check it out. This is what you're getting. You're getting 3 one-hour weekly coaching classes. You're going to get 3 weeks of client-only office hours. You're also going to get unlimited email access to me. Plus, you're going to get a private 1-hour session with me where when I work with my clients directly, I charge $300 an hour, but you're going to get this 1 hour of dedicated time included in this course. The total value is $2,100, but I'm not just going to stop there. I've got something else for you. You're also going to get the Balanced Family Workbook, or as I really wanted to call it, the Kick-Ass Family Workbook. This works as a companion with the 3 classes and includes worksheets for you to do during the classes. So you can have this to refer back to as your quick guide as you implement these new tools and emotional responses with your family. So here's what we've got so far. We've got 3 one-hour weekly coaching classes jam-packed with tools and strategies, all for you to bring closeness and joy to your family. Then we've got the 3 weeks of client-only office hours for all of us kick-ass moms to get together and ask any questions you have. You've got unlimited email access to me for the 3 weeks that we're together. Plus, you get that private 1-hour session, and I'm including the workbook that is literally your roadmap to your family to create powerful change in your relationships. That is a value of $149. So that brings our total up to $2,249. So I'm also going to give you one more bonus that I think is really important, and that is the Reframing Your Child's Behavior workbook, which will help you be aware of the words that you're using to label your child's behavior in a negative way. And you might not even realize you're doing this. This is so important because when our kids display what we think of as undesirable behavior that we then assign a negative label to, this label can really become part of their self-identity and their inner voice. And that's not something we want for our kids. So this workbook will help you become aware of the words that you use and how you can reframe how you see your child's behavior for their benefit, but also for your benefit. And this is a $49 value. So this is it. This is everything you're going to get. And I'm going to tell you how to take action and actually join the workshop if you're interested. And if you are interested, look, space is going to be limited, so I really do suggest that you take action immediately. So here is everything. Okay, 3 1-hour weekly coaching classes, chock full of lots of great strategies that have transformed thousands of families. You're going to get 3 weeks of client-only office hours. You're going to get unlimited email access to me. I'm giving you 1 hour of private coaching. You're going to get the Balanced Family Workbook. And then you're going to get the Reframing Your Child's Behavior Workbook, which is, again, a $49 value. And this brings us up to $2,298 in total value. Now, for the last 45 minutes, I have shared a ton of direction and guidance with you. For most of us, just knowing what to do isn't enough. It's being supported through actually making these changes. So yes, you're going to get a ton of new tools and strategies, but you're also going to get focused and dedicated support so that these changes actually hold and last and stick with your family. And the only thing that's going to do that is action. Through this 3-week course, I will be taking you down the path to peace and connection at home, and we're going to have fun doing it. So for most of us, this is the kind of support that we need to get to the next level of parenting. And I want to support you in taking your family to the next level. So if you're interested, you can get started now. And let me tell you, I have worked really hard to pack as much as possible in terms of value into this workshop at the lowest possible price so that you can afford to be a kick-ass mom. And you're going to get nearly $2,300 worth of coaching and support for just $179. And if you show up, you will get the results you're looking for. So click the green Sign Me Up button that you see on your screen and let's get started. Okay, so look, you stuck around this long to get to this point because you're probably struggling in this area. And at this point, you have 2 choices. You can keep doing what you've been doing and take what I've shared with you today and do your best to implement it on your own. The other option is to take action now. And let me take your hand and walk you down this path using a system that thousands of parents have gone through that we know produces the outcome that you want. And I've been through it too. I have done this work and it's a given. If you are committed, we will get there together. And through this course, we are going to have a blast. All of us kick-ass moms, we're going to enjoy this work together and we're going to make some kick-ass families. So if option 2 sounds like a better fit for you, please go and enroll now. I want to work with you. I want to know you and I want you to join our Kick-Ass Mom Club. Okay, so look, I'm going to go through this one more time. I'm going to be signing off in just a minute. Remember, if this is something that interests you, I strongly suggest you click the green button that says, let's get started and get started. Okay, 3 1-hour weekly coaching classes. We've got 3 weeks of client-only office hours. You're also going to get unlimited email access. I'm giving you a private 1-hour coaching session with me. I'm including the Balanced Family Workbook, Reframing Your Child's Behavior Workbook. All of this is a total value of almost $2,300. And you're going to get this all for just $179. And if you show up, you're going to get those results that you're looking for. So just click the green sign me up button that you see on your screen and let's get started. I can't wait to have you in this workshop. All right. For those of you who stuck around, thank you. Here is your free anger diagram that I promised you. And actually, I'm going to just send it straight to you. So check your email inbox right away, and you'll see that in there shortly. Thank you to all of you who joined me today and for wanting to take your parenting and your relationship with your kids to the next kick-ass level. That's it for now. I really look forward to seeing you in the workshop. Have a great day, everyone.